a great deal. You get to, we do 60 plus events just like this throughout the year, and we do mentoring and all these other things. So I would highly encourage you to join TIE, because we're a fantastic organization. I'm going to tell you all about it right now. So what I like to do at the beginning of each event is I like to give a little bit about TIE, about why we are who we are. So for folks who don't know us, is this on, Dan?
Yes.
Okay. So maybe I should take them in a separate room and do the mini. No. Once I have the microphone, then I have the microphone, Vish, for as long as I get it. No. No. So indulge me for just a few moments as I kind of go through our story, because it's a very interesting story. So my name is Karen Malhotra. I'm the executive director. And we were founded right here in the Valley in 1992, so this is our 20th year in existence. We were founded by folks who came mostly from the South Asian region, and they came here with nothing but their education, their willingness to work hard, and they built companies, and they became corporate executives, and they did this without a lot of help. And so they said, you know what, wouldn't it be nice if we could come together and we could pool our intellectual capital and help other people succeed. And so that's what they did. They would come together on a monthly basis. They would bring other successful entrepreneurs of the time. They would tell their stories. They would mentor individuals. They would mentor companies. And this network grew. In 20 years, we're now in 57 chapters, 57 cities, 57 chapters, 14 countries. And the sole mission has always been to foster entrepreneurship. So we have three major stakeholders of TIE. We have our member community, which many of you are members of, and so thank you for your support of TIE, for supporting our programs and things like that. We also have our charter member community. So the charter members are very highly successful individuals or C-level corporate executives or academics, and they're invited to be part of this community, and they're invited because we ask a couple of very important things. We ask them of their time and their expertise. And they give that to us very, very freely in the form of being SIG chairs, board members, volunteers to the organization, mentors, and things like that. We have several charter members in the room. Can you raise your hands, please? Usually they clump together. They kind of clump, but they're not clumped together, and I don't know if everyone's raising their hand. There's Venk in the back. But these folks are wonderful people. They, really go and sit next. Can you raise your hand again? Go sit next to them. Go get to know one or two of them or all of them. And I guarantee you'll make a friend, a colleague, a mentor for life. So I would like to point out a few notable charter members. You're all notable in your own right. But I'd like to point out our president, Vish Mishra. If you don't know Vish, then I don't know, you might have been hiding under a rock, because the man knows everybody. Okay, or if he doesn't, he knows your brother, sister, your uncle, and everybody else too. So, and then our wonderful program chair, Naveen Bisht. He is responsible for helping to strategize and oversee all the programming that we do at TIE. Then we have and then we need to sell the programming, right? So we have our marketing chair, Mr. Baljeet Singh, over here. And in case you're worried that, Vish's term is up at the end of the year, we have somebody waiting just to fill that role on January 1st, and that's our Mr. Venk Shukla over there, who's our president-elect. Come on, Venk, don't be shy. Vish always sits in the front. You should maybe start, warming up the seat in the middle. But really, thank you to all of the charter members who support these programs. Really, you're the backbone of the organization. We can't do the programs that we do and the things that we do without your generous support of TIE. And so then the third stakeholder is our sponsor community. And sponsors are from the large corporations, the big VC firms, law firms, banks, service providers, and they are attracted to TIE because of the entrepreneurial ecosystem that we provide through the charter members, through you as the members, and through some of the different programs that we do. And so we thank all the sponsors for being the lifeblood of the organization, because we can't do the programs that we do without the sponsorship support. I know we have several sponsors. We have 40 plus sponsors that support TIE, but I only see Stan in the room today from Morgan Stanley. And where is, just Stan disappeared. He was, okay, there's Stan. Thank you, Stan. Morgan Stanley has been a generous supporter for a couple of years, and before that he was with a different firm that supported TIE, and to all the sponsors, we thank you very much for your support. And then we actually have a fourth category of stakeholders, and that's our volunteers. And so the volunteers come from all of these other three. And I have a very small staff. We're just 4 people. But everybody from the people at the door, from Dan, who's faithfully here at every event taking pictures and video, our panelists, the folks who put the panels together, the board members, all of you all are volunteers to TIE, and that's what makes this work, and that's the really amazing thing about the TIE network. So thank you to the volunteers. So as I mentioned, we have 60 plus programs that we do each year. Each program draws on average about 100 people per program, and we do lots of different programs. One of the things that we do is we try to capture the trends that are going on in the entrepreneurial ecosystem. So our interest groups reflect those trends. So we have social, mobile, cloud, energy, and life sciences. We do networking events. We launched a program last year called My Story, where kind of we go back to our roots and feature successful entrepreneurs. And then we have our Pitch Fest, which is coming up on Thursday, and this is a great program for folks who want to practice their pitch to an actual panel of venture capitalists. So I encourage you to sign up for that one. It's right here on Thursday. And then, of course, Venk, specially featuring TIE Angels. Venk asked me why TIE Angels at the bottom of the list, but I said, you know, when you see a TV show, you see, you know, so-and-so and so-and-so and so-and-so, and then you say, and special guest star, blah, 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 and that's who you remember, right? So TIE Angels, special guest star TIE Angels. TIE Angels is actually a great program that we launched in August of 2010, and we have funded 15 companies to date. And so if you're a promising company or you know of a promising company that's looking for seed funding, I highly encourage you to sign up for TIE Angels. You can go directly to our website and click on the application, and it's very self-explanatory. It's done on a rolling basis. They meet on a monthly basis, except for December. And it's been a fantastic program for us. If you have any questions about it, you can talk to Venk, who is the chair of the steering committee. You can talk to Vish. Naveen is on the steering committee. You can ask me if you have any questions, or just go to the website. It's a wonderful program. Then, of course, how many of you attended TIECon this year? It was fantastic for us, and we are very proud that in our 20th year we were able to produce, again, a quality world-class conference. And TIECon actually is a world-class conference which was listed as one of the 10 best conferences for ideas and entrepreneurship. So, save the date for TIECon 2013, May 17th and 18th. It's never too early to start advertising. Last but not least, I would like to thank my wonderful small and mighty staff. Shilpi, who is over here, you met Harini at the door, and Patricia is not here this evening. And then, of course, the board of directors. It's wonderful to work with such a talented team. And without further ado, I'm going to thank you for your attention, and I'm going to turn your attention over to our wonderful program chair, Naveen Bisht.
Kiran made sure that everyone got clapped for their contributions, but not ourselves. So let's give a big round of applause to her and her staff. So I'm not going to take too much of time. Some of you have been here since 5 o'clock. So only thing was I wanted to introduce our new co-chair of Growth Company Forum, who's sitting right at the corner there, Ajay Shah. Ajay is a managing director with Deutsche Bank Securities, and he's been an investment banker for over 15 years, earlier with Credit Suisse, and then UBS Securities. And really appreciate his time joining our another co-chair for Growth Company Forum, Shailesh Shukla, who couldn't be here. He's in Japan. He's a VP and general manager at Cisco. And putting together this fantastic program for Growth Company, part of Growth Company Forum, like Kiran was saying, we have a number of them. So this year, this was the first of 4 programs they are going to have over the next 8 to 10 months. And then again, thanks for recruiting Jal to getting back into the swing here to help. Jal has been a lifelong type volunteer and charter member, etc. And also, a successful entrepreneur as well as executive. He used to be the executive VP of marketing. I remember he coined the term Air Touch, if you remember. In the early 90s, there was a very successful company, Air Touch. And then right now, he's leading a cutting-edge mobile video advertising network company, which has been there, called Rhythm New Media. With that, I will transfer stage to Joe.
Thank you, Naveen. So first off, I thought Krishna did an outstanding job. Krishna, great job. Having been an entrepreneur twice myself, I could really relate to it. And by the way, if you weren't able to get his book, you can get it on your iPad, on the Kindle, etc. Although, Although I asked Krishna to autograph this one and he failed to do so. So for that reason you might want to get a paper copy, but this works pretty well also. I'm very pleased to be on stage with this amazing group. This is a group that's been there, done it, has the scars to show for it. Although I've asked them to refrain from showing any scars in this room. People try to laugh at my jokes. My wife is here. So, but we have two incorrigible repeat entrepreneurs on the panel, and they're still serving in battle. So we'll hear their stories and the advice that they have. We have someone who was a repeat successful entrepreneur, but then decided to cross to the dark green side, if you follow my gist. And so, he's a VC now, and you'll hear from him, and then we have our top-notch attorney on the panel as well. So, why don't we give them a chance to introduce themselves first? Maybe take a minute each. Tell us about, who they are, what they're doing now, and after that, I will preview how the panel is going to work. So, let's start with you, Dave. Two mics here that we can share.
Actually, can people hear me? I'm kind of a non-mic guy, if that's okay. Is that acceptable to everyone? So my background, I think like a lot of people in the room, was engineering at the beginning of my career. So I did 2 graduate degrees in aerospace engineering, and my kids would call me a geek is the word they use, which I kind of wear as a proud badge. I spent 7 years building guidance and control systems for airplanes and spacecraft, which to this day was probably actually my most fun job. I then went to business school, which actually is where I met Uchel. Seems like a long time ago now. Uchel, every time we have this conversation, it just keeps getting longer and longer ago. We've reached the point where we don't mention how long ago it was, so I'll leave that off. And then after business school, I really changed careers completely. I ended up as a salesperson for Sun Microsystems, which in 1986 was just a great place to be. And I spent 5 years doing that, and then co-founded a company called Cookbook, which nobody will remember in this room, looking at the young faces. Oh, well, that's very nice of you. Okay, so $20 will be waiting for you. Scopus was one of the first companies in the CRM space. It wasn't called CRM at the time. And this was a really exciting company. In 7 years, we grew the company. I don't say this out of arrogance, but I'll make a point later. From 0 to $100 million in sales in about 7 years. And took the company public, and then it was bought by Sequel Systems in 1997. And since then, I've been at Sierra Ventures, where I founded the software practice. We did not invest in software at the time. And for 15 years now, I've been developing software practice. Some of the investments we've made are into Teradata, which are names you may know, and some current investments are companies like Zoom Systems. If you're traveling and you go to airports and you see these iPods you can buy on vending machines, you may wonder what's the enterprise software about that. We can explain that as Sierra investment, and we would have a very, very active practice in all the areas that were discussed here, like ABC would say, big data and cloud and mobile would be major themes.
Thank you, Dave.
Thanks. My name is Misha Travers. I'm a partner at Davis Polk & Wardwell, where I specialize in corporate law. By way of background, I'm originally trained as an engineer. I think we might have an all-engineer panel here tonight, despite having a lawyer on the panel. And coming out of engineering school, immediately took a left turn and went straight to law school, I'm sorry to say. I practiced law in Washington, D.C. for a few years and came out to Silicon Valley to be an investment banker with Credit Suisse, where I worked with Ajay, covering the software business for several years during some of the toughest markets back around 2001, 2002, 2003 that we've seen for quite a while. Returned to practicing law in 2003, and since then I've been representing a wide range of companies, from startups all the way up to very large mature public companies, on mergers and acquisitions, securities offerings, fundraising, securities compliance, and everything else that companies and investment banks need in connection with all the transactions that technology companies engage in.
Indu.
So I'm Indu Navar, founder and CEO of Cirrus Corporation. I grew up in India. I grew up in Bangalore. Got my electronics engineering bachelor's. Came to California for my master's in computer science. Worked at NASA in Moffett Field as my first job. And then followed Silicon Graphics back in '92 and helped start Healthy on WebMD, today WebMD, in early '96. So after 4 years, we went IPO. Then I decided I'm going to start Cirrus. So I've been at Cirrus, bootstrapped the company for the first 5 years and have been VC funded for the last 5 years. So, so I can share more as we go through the panel.
That's right. I'll go first.
Use the microphone. I've been told that they're videotaping it and the camera seems to discriminate against non-mic people.
Good. Yeah, that's better. I keep it off the record then. So, my name is Aaron Amy. I may not look like a typical Indian entrepreneur coming along here. But I actually began my career 31 years ago as an entrepreneur living in New Delhi. So, I think I do qualify as an what I'm doing right now is a company called Shopkick that I'm the co-founder and CTO of. And Shopkick has a very modest goal to fundamentally transform the $3 trillion a year retail sector. So we're not thinking about anything big. We're trying to do that by really transforming the experience of shopping in the physical world to make it more personal, more rewarding, and more fun. And the way we've started in on this is with a cross-retailer loyalty program, a rewards program really, which rewards you for simply walking into the store, something that's never been possible until now. And the reason it's possible now is that everyone's got a computer in their pocket when they're walking into the store. Your smartphone is becoming a focal point of the way that you interact with the world, and it's going to disrupt physical world retail like crazy. Think about e-commerce. E-commerce is $250 billion a year out of that $3 trillion. Great success story. It's reached that in just 15 years. It's growing at about 12% per year. Something that's already 4 times as big, $1 trillion a year, is things that you buy in the physical world that are influenced by your online activity. You go and you read reviews, you check ratings, you do price comparisons, and then you go to the store and buy. Not only is that 4 times as big as all of e-commerce, it's also growing at 19% a year as opposed to 12. The gap is widening. And this is a very interesting fact for mobile because the mobile phone is a much more direct and immediate tool for this kind of interactivity than your computer is. And there aren't many things in life that haven't changed much in 100 years. The experience of going into a store and buying something is one of those things from a consumer's perspective. Obviously, behind the scenes, there's a lot changing. But you go, you find your things, you bring them to the cash register, you pay for them, you leave. And that's changing dramatically. It's already changed online because when you go to a store and I go to a store, we go to different stores. But in the physical world, we're still going to the same store. There's nothing personal about it. And this is what mobile devices are going to change. So we started, as I mentioned, with a cross-retailer rewards program. And we work with a lot of the largest retailers in the country. We work with Target, Macy's, Best Buy, American Eagle Outfitters, Sports Authority, Wet Seal, R&B, West Elm, Crate & Barrel, Toys R Us, Old Navy, ExxonMobil, Simon Malls, a lot of pretty large companies that everyone knows about, as well as 50 of the largest brands out there. And all of these customers have put our transmitters in their stores to allow us to detect the moment they walk in the door. They offer rewards through Shopkick. And we also work with Visa to offer rewards for purchases. So basically, we're aiming at something very interesting, very ambitious, and maybe we'll get a chance to talk a little bit in relation to some of the questions that come up about what we've done with that. The company was started in July of '09, and it's based right here in Palo Alto.
Thank you. So as you can see, we have a wealth of experience here. Let me preview you how I plan to structure this discussion and panel. Krishna gave us a great overview of a big topic, all packed in an hour and a half, very systematically covered, logical flow and all that. Obviously, he didn't have the chance to go deep on any particular thing. So the way I organize this panel is we'll try to go deep on 3 or 4 items. I've asked each of these highly experienced, accomplished professionals to pick one thing that they would choose from their experiences to highlight, bring out with war stories and examples, and their personal journeys. And so we'll give each panelist a chance to talk about whatever they've picked. That's an area to deep dive in. This has to do with, you're somebody who's about to start a company. What's really important? The wonderful thing about entrepreneurship is that there's a lifetime of things that you can do very well, and there's also a lifetime of mistakes that new ones to choose from. And I keep choosing new ones every year. So there is in fact a lot to cover, and I requested each panelist to think about the one area that they would drill into. So, and then we'll have some time for Q&A at the end also. I'll try to save at least 20 minutes so we can make it interactive. So we'll start with Dave and ask him to talk about whatever he's picked, and maybe take 5 minutes or so, 5 actual minutes, not flexible ones, and then we might cross-examine Dave about what he said. The panelists can do that. I might do that, and we'll push him on it and see if others had different experiences or what. So Dave.
Thanks, Ujjwal. So the topic that I chose is this concept of customer validation, which sounds like a really simple and logical thing, but it actually has got layers as you peel it back that can be done well and can be done poorly. So I'll talk about that a bit, and I think a couple of the other panelists have a twist on the same topic, so we'll see when we get to them. So I look back on my entrepreneurial career and tried to make some notes on this topic of customer validation. I had 3 important points that at least jumped out at me. The first was, as a founder, don't delegate this task of customer validation. This is a common mistake as you begin to hire people into the company. It's your job as the founder of the company to be out in front on this topic all the time, even when you're $100 million in sales, and maybe even more so then. I'll drill down into each of these points a little bit. And the second big point for me was to validate frequently. This really is an ongoing process, not a moment in time event. And sometimes you feel like, gee, I did some customer validation this last quarter. I don't need to do it for a couple of quarters. And basically, if you could validate monthly or weekly, in some consumer businesses, you're validating daily. The more frequency, the better. I know it's difficult, but the more frequency, the better. And the third point, which is a really interesting one, is what I call ask difficult questions. And it'll be maybe clearer on that in a minute when I make a follow-up point there. So maybe I'll drill down into each of those points for just a moment. So the first one is don't delegate, and this is a common mistake that founders make, especially first-time entrepreneurs who hire a VP of sales and VP of marketing who, if you've hired well, are people that are expert at dealing with customers, and suddenly you find as a founder of the company that they're out talking to customers and you're not, and that's a mistake, but it's a very, very common mistake that's made. And as founder of the company, you should be out in front of this, and you should be going with the VP of sales and the VP of marketing